Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jack Daniels. I'm the president of Madison College. I think the last time we had a wonderful occasion here, we were outside under a tent. I'm glad we're inside today. The Goodman South campus was located here to serve residents who were not pursuing or completing a college education. We are pleased to be here to provide them a quality education and connect them with jobs that area employers need filled. We also have a partnership with the Madison School District involving 100 high school students taking classes in our STEM Academy at this campus. Another 100 students will join us in the following fall. The STEM Academy students are earning credit for their high school diploma and college at the same time, strongly positioning them to move on to studies at a university or enter the workforce with an associate degree. Today's event is about civic participation. At Madison College, our students historically have been civic-minded, engaging their peers through actions to improve their experience at college and in the community, addressing issues such as participation in elections and research and actions around food insecurity, digital equity, and homelessness, to name a few. Today's event about the 2020 census is but another opportunity for our students, as well as faculty and staff, to engage in important civic duties. Again, welcome to each of you. We hope you take the opportunity to learn more about our Goodman South campus and visit us again in the future. It gives me great pleasure right now to introduce the mayor of the city of Madison, Satya Rhodes-Conway.
Thank you, and thanks everybody for being here today. I want to particularly thank Dr. Daniels, Madison College, and all of your staff for hosting us today, but also for everything you're doing to support the effort to get a complete count in the 2020 census here in Madison and Dane County. I'd like to recognize a number of folks in addition to the speakers that you'll be hearing from who have joined us today to pledge their support to spread the word about the census in Madison and Dane County, including City Alders Balday, Furman, and Heck, former Alder Brian Benford, who's here with us, members of our Complete Count Committee at the city level, including Corinda Rainey-Moore of Kids Forward and Julie Aulick of UW Health, Dr. Ruben Anthony with the Urban League, Baltazar de Anda Santana of the Latino Academy of Workforce Development, Jason Blangi with Access to Independence, Gloria Reyes from the Madison Metropolitan District School Board, and many other partners from organizations like Rebalanced Life Wellness Association, Freedom Inc., the Hmong Institute, the Wisconsin Hmong Association, United Way, Christ Presbyterian Church, and many more. And I want to thank all of our partners for being here to emphasize the importance of the 2020 census. A complete count in the 2020 census is vitally important to ensure that Madison receives its fair share of funding to support critical services in healthcare, education, affordable housing, transit, and more. Dozens of federal and state funding streams are allocated based on the results of the census. These add up to about $2,000 per year per person. If Madison's population was undercounted by just 10%, we could lose $500 million in much-needed services over the next decade. We can't afford that. The services that we get funding for include direct grants or loans to people and organizations through programs like Medicaid, Head Start, and many more, tax credits that support things like affordable housing, and direct federal support to small businesses. This funding is not based simply on a count of population, but is also based on income, age, and other factors that help determine specific program needs in different areas. And that's why it's so important for the full diversity of Madison's residents to be counted in the 2020 census. Thanks to all of you in the room today for taking the census when it's time. Thanks to everybody who's listening for taking the census. And thanks for your help in making sure that everyone in Madison and Dane County is counted. Now it's my pleasure to introduce County Executive Joe Parisi to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, to all the folks who are standing with us and members of the media and others who are here because you see how vitally important the census count is to all of us. There'll be a lot of folks talking about the various things that are at stake in a census. Just to throw out a couple of those, we have a presidential election coming up, the number of electoral votes. Being counted impacts the strength with which your presidential vote is counted. The number of members of Congress is determined by our population. And we know that many states on the East Coast, the West Coast, the South are growing rapidly. So we need to be counted to ensure that we maintain the representation we do in the U.S. Congress. And we get there a couple of ways. First and foremost, I urge everyone to participate as soon as possible up front in signing up for the census. The more folks we can get to sign up, the fewer we have to go door to door knocking and find and ask to sign up. So, but when we get to that process, it's estimated about 20% of the folks won't sign up proactively, and we're going to have to go door to door. And in order to do that, we need people. We need workers. The good news is there are jobs out there that pay $20 to $22 an hour through the summer to go out and be a census taker. These jobs are critical, and unfortunately, in Dane County, we're lagging behind in being able to recruit people to take these jobs. We still need to fill roughly 1,000 or more jobs in order to go out and do what's needed to do to ensure that everyone's counted. So if you're interested in some part-time work, flexible hours, $20 to $22 an hour, it's not a bad way to spend your summer. So please reach out. Consider taking those jobs. It's a great way to put some cash in your pocket while at the same time doing some incredibly important work for our community. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today, and it's my honor to introduce Winona Wolf from the office of Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Winona Wolf. I'm the Policy and Legislative Director for Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. Unfortunately, the Lieutenant Governor could not be here today, but he sends his regards. Ensuring a fair and accurate count in the 2020 census is a priority for our administration, and it's essential to moving our entire state forward. A few months ago, Governor Tony Evers signed an executive order creating a state complete count committee, and just last week, the committee met for the first time. The Wisconsin Complete Count Committee will spend the next several weeks educating Wisconsinites on the importance of the census and will work strategically to engage those in historically undercounted communities so that they're counted and their voices and their votes are heard. In a state that deals with both the legacy and present-day racism, along with economic disparities in both our urban and rural areas, we must take all steps necessary to ensure everyone is counted. And it's our job as leaders of the state to ensure that people know that their participation in the census is safe, secure, and confidential. Over the next few weeks, Lieutenant Governor Barnes will be traveling the state and discussing the importance of the census. He will have conversations with faith communities, immigrant communities, tribal nations, and many others. And state government will do what it can to ensure every person in Wisconsin is ready to participate in the census. At the end of the day, the census isn't just a head count. It's about visibility, voice, and value. Counts from this census will be used to reapportion seats in the U.S. House of Representatives, and it's expected that southern and western states will gain seats and political power at the expense of northeast and Midwest states like Wisconsin. But we are confident that the voices of all Wisconsinites will be heard and will be counted, as long as we continue to collectively work towards this common goal. And we are proud of the many communities who are stepping up, like the City of Madison, the Dane County, and the many community groups and organizations. An accurate census count is the most powerful tool we have to ensuring the will of the people is the law of the land. And now I'd like to introduce Representative Sheila Stubbs.
Good morning, and a special thank you to Dr. Daniels and to Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway, as well as County Executive Parisi. I'm honored to be standing here today. For those that do not know me, my name is State Representative Sheila Stubbs. I represent the 77th Assembly District, which is where you are today. It is comprised of the south and west parts of Madison, the UW campus, and the village of Shorewood Hills. I am excited to be here today to tell you about the 2020 efforts. As you have heard, it is extremely important that the 2020 census captures a complete count of our state's population. We are on the brink of redistricting, and the fairness of the maps that will be redrawn is independent of the 2020 census results. We need all hands on deck. We need everyone to be counted. Census comes around every 10 years. So what we do now will impact our future. As an equity woman and a champion of equity, I am very passionate about making sure that everyone in our beautiful state of Wisconsin is represented in the census. Taking part of the 2020 census is an act of social justice. Marginalized communities have long fought for representation, and the census provides an avenue towards equity, which is especially vital in the state where we know that we have the worst racial disparities in our nation. In order to have a complete count, the census has partnered with numerous diversity organizations in Madison, including J.P. Patterson, 5 other Black barbershops, Centro Hispano, 100 Black men, African American Council of Churches, sororities, fraternities, Madison Association of the Deaf, the YWCA, Boys and Girls Club, Urban League, NAACP, and the list goes on. These organizations, as long as others, have so many other committed to activism in the form of the census. We are proud and excited that so many groups, so many organizations, and so many individuals are coming together to work towards a very common goal, making sure that every voice is heard, that every voice is counted. We cannot afford in this state to leave anyone behind. The Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights said that the Essential Census is the most inclusive civil activity in the country, covering every person in every household. The conference called people to action with the slogan, and I quote, "Join the fight for justice, inclusion, and fairness for all." So on today, I propose a very simple question. Who in here today is ready to join the fight? It is my honor. Go ahead and clap. It's all of us. It's okay. We are certainly in a place that welcomes our villages, and it is my dear honor to introduce Mario Garcia Sierra, Centro Hispano, and Voices de Frontera. Mario, where are you? Where are you,
I'm
my
right
friend?
here.
Hey! Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. Buenos días.
Buenos días.
So, mi nombre es Mario García Sierra y estoy aquí en representación de Centro Hispano como miembro de la Junta Directiva Centro Hispano de Dane County, que está justo aquí enfrente de nosotros. Y es un honor para Centro Hispano ser parte de este esfuerzo con Dane County y con la ciudad de Madison, porque sabemos que es muy importante que todos miembros y miembros de nuestra comunidad sean contados. Y nosotros vamos a trabajar duro para asegurar que la voz llegue a cada hogar aquí en Madison. Y sabemos que hay muchas fuerzas, muchas personas que no quieren que se cuente a nuestra comunidad. pero nosotros vamos a trabajar para asegurarnos que todos somos contados. Así que llévense ese mensaje hoy. So, good morning, everybody. My name is Mario Garcia Sierra, and I'm on the board of Centro Hispano of Dane County, right across the street from here. And it's an honor for Centro to join Dane County, the City of Madison, and all the other organizations in this effort to make sure that everyone in our community gets counted. It is critical, it is vital, and it is important for the vitality of families in our communities that everyone is counted. And we know that we do this work in a climate where there are people and institutions who don't want us to be counted. But guess what? We're going to do the work, the outreach, the engagement that it takes to make sure that everyone in this community gets counted and gets the representation in the services that we need, so our community remains a vibrant and vital community, and our families can thrive, which is at the core of the vision of Centro Hispano. So again, it's an honor to be here, and please make sure that you come and visit Centro Hispano and take that message with you, that we are working hard to make sure that everyone is counted in our community. Muchas gracias. And then he's coming back.
Coming back. Before I give thank yous to all of our speakers, I'd just like to recognize all the Barbara McKinney who came in as well.
Absolutely.
We have time for a couple of questions from the media, if there are any.
Yeah, I'm just curious how funding included in the city and county budgets will help the local efforts to engage on the census, and then how does the lack of funding at the state level maybe provide a roadblock to local engagement efforts?
So the city is happy to be funding the complete count efforts, and we actually have contracts, small contracts with a number of community organizations that will amplify our outreach efforts. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I don't want to speak for the county, but I know they have a complete count effort as well that I think is on a very parallel track to do really good outreach. So we're committed to making this outreach effort work, but I will say that I just want to reemphasize that one of the biggest barriers right now is going to be our ability as a community to hire enough census takers. Because that's federal money, right? That's the federal government, the census itself, hiring folks to go out and knock on doors and make sure that people are taking the census. That is a really big thing for us in this community right now. We are lagging behind the rest of the state in how many workers we have recruited at this point. So again, just want to say they're great jobs. They're very flexible, full-time, part-time, starting in the spring, going through midsummer. If anybody's looking for a job, please think about the census. The other thing I would say is that we can and will and are spending money on outreach, but it's events like this with all the community partners that we have here that really are going to make the difference in outreach. That we need to, as numerous speakers said, we need to reach into communities that may not be reached by traditional media, and we need to make sure that people understand that the census is critical, that their data is safe, and that we need everybody to take the census. So I'm really hopeful about this partnership that you see represented here today.
Basically a two-part. You said people can check in so that someone doesn't have to come out to get your information. So how do you check in? And number two is, how do you apply for the jobs? Are they got to apply separately for city to county, or?
Excellent questions, both of them. So on the jobs, I believe it's census.gov/jobs.
2020census.gov/jobs.
All right, 2020census.gov/jobs. And so you can apply online. There's also flyers. There's information here. We are working on getting the jobs message out through the city website and social media as well. In fact, if you go onto the city Twitter, I think we're averaging a tweet a day on census jobs. So it's easy to find that information. And it is centralized. It's the federal government that's doing the hiring. So you don't have to go separately, city, county. It's just one site. And then on taking the census, starting in April, folks will start to get letters that invite them to go online and fill out the census. And so what we're hoping is that when you get that in the mail saying, it's time, please go online and fill out the census, that as many people as possible will do that right away. We'll either go online, you can do it on a computer, you can do it on phone, you can go to a library and use one of the computers there, you can actually call in and do it. And so we're hoping that as many people as possible will proactively fill out the census when they're invited to. The folks that don't, those are the folks that we're going to be knocking on their doors and asking them to participate. Other questions? Yeah.
Can you talk just a little bit more about some of your outreach efforts for traditionally hard-to-count communities?
Well, I could, but maybe I'll invite other people. I don't know, Sheila or Corinda or Mario, if you want to answer that.
Let's go together. I think that's an excellent question. As our mayor identified, there are some mainstream partners. So Centro Hispano, Freedom Inc., Latina Academy on Workforce Development, Latino Chamber of Commerce, Northside Planning Council, Rebalance Life Wellness Association, and the Hmong Institute all have received funding from the city. And what they've decided to do is create more partners. So each of those partners are engaging some of the harder to count committees. For example, I'm reaching the African American Council of Churches to ask each of the churches to do a census count within their congregations. And I think that's a great start because we have so many people that are within the churches and then not only be active and being a part of the census, but trying to get a job. Because I'm going to be very honest with you, we are down. If we don't get enough census workers, we're going to be in a critical problem in the state of Wisconsin. And we have to reach as many populations as possible. Within our committee, as I chair, and Brenda Gonzalez is the co-chair for the complete census count committee for the city, we've also divided up into different areas within the committee. Corinda Rainey Moore is one of the members, and so I know she's going to talk about sororities and fraternities and some of the other organizations that we individually as census count committee members are deciding to work with individually.
So my name is Corinda Rainey Moore, and I'm actually on all three complete counts. I'm on the city, the county, and the state complete count. One, because I want to make sure that we're doing a coordinated effort. And to me, there's no such thing when it comes to the census as duplicating efforts, because we know that it's hard for folks to hear stuff one time. So even if they hear from 5 different people, that's good so that we don't leave anyone out. But I'm also partnering with some of what we call the Divine Nine, which is the sororities and fraternities around the census. I'm also presenting information, providing education to folks, creating community ambassadors, where I'm training. I actually have a meeting with some community ambassadors this evening, where I'm going to be training them about the census and then employing them in their own communities. And these are trusted folks that are actually in the community. We're actually also bringing information to community events that already exist so that we don't necessarily have to create a space to talk about the census, but we can go where folks are to talk about the census. And in fact, I'm also using this opportunity to actually, one of the organizations I actually belong to, the Madison Metropolitan Chapter of Links, we're doing a conference in March, and we're using some materials from the links to provide to some of the young girls so that they can take it home to their families, because we also know that hard to count population is the 0 to 5-year-olds. So we want to make sure we're reaching those young kids, not just adults, but reaching young kids. But we know to reach young kids, you have to reach their parents. So it's an intergenerational approach and not just focusing on one aspect. So we're doing a variety of different things to try to reach folks and make sure I'm working with people across the state. So that's one of the benefits of my actual job in Madison, is that I work across the state. So I'm partnering with Wisconsin Voices, which is in Milwaukee. We have created what we call a speakers bureau so that we can actually have folks, when folks say, do you have someone to come and talk to us about the census, we can employ folks to talk about the census, because I know I can't be everywhere, and Matt Dannenberg from Wisconsin Voices can't be everywhere. So we've created a list of folks who are willing to go and talk to other folks about the census and train folks in that aspect.
Good morning. My name is Barbara McKinney, and you might know me as Alder Barbara Harrington McKinney. But I want to share with you who the core I am is. That's the faith communities. And Representative Stubbs and I are concentrating on the faith community and to bring that message within that congregation. And on Sunday, one of the things that I announced was how important the count is. How important it is to get involved. And by that, we also talked about the employment opportunities. So we will be specifically concentrating on going into communities, faith communities, really talking about undercounted, underrepresented, and the importance of the count. And so that will be my contribution, is concentrating on the faith communities to bring them forward and bring them at the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder.
Any other questions?
Well, when does the count end? When is the last day to get counted?
July 31st.
End of July.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Before we move to the pledge signing, I want to recognize our City Channel camera crew. Any community leader here today is invited to record a short video about the importance of the census. We'll share those back with you for you to promote on social media as one way to help spread the message. Please consider doing this after you sign the pledge. Now I'll ask our speakers to sign the pledge, and then the other community leaders who have joined us today. The pledge reads, I pledge to take the 2020 census and be counted. And because everybody counts, I will encourage my friends, family, and community to take the 2020 census also. I'm also going to ask Mario if he would also translate this into Spanish.
Prometo ser parte del censo del 2020 y ser contado. Y debido a que todo el mundo cuenta, animaré a mis amigos, familiares y comunidad a que también hagan parte del censo del 2020.
I'll invite the speakers to sign the pledge first. I suggest in groups of 2. The mayor and the county executive, the lieutenant governor's representative and Representative Stubbs, Mario, and myself. Then I would invite all other community leaders in the room to sign the pledge. And please, don't forget to record a short video. Thank you very much.